Welcome, PBA LBC League Bowlers. Once again, I'm Neil Stremmel, your Director of Rules and Equipment, and today I am joined with Parker Bohn, PBA legend, PBA Hall of Famer. Parker Bohn, nice to see you, man.
Well, thanks, Neil. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you, good to have you. You know, so we're going to talk about some bowling balls and some different situations today, but first I wanted to ask you a question. You know, I've watched you for years, and I'm not saying that you're old.
You're making me sound old now.
But I've seen you on TV many times, and I think your form is the most technically correct. I'm a technical person, and I'm wondering, I don't know, you probably get asked this all the time, but I'm wondering where that came from. Obviously a lot of practice, but how did you develop that style, that form that we see on TV that I think is like the perfect form?
Well, I think as a little kid growing up, I've always used my legs a lot. I was the wiry guy running up there, and I was all over the place at the foul line. But a long time ago, Dave Davis and his wife showed me the correct way how to keep formulation and keep balance at the foul line. And it transcended into a 5-step approach, and that's what I was pretty much, I'll say, in the early stages. But after I was out on tour for 1 full year, everyone, you need to understand that this guy named John Jowdy, who's a PBA Hall of Famer, he pulled me aside one day when my mom asked him to try to help me a little bit. And he said, "Parker, you have 5 steps. You don't do anything in your first step. Would you take a double ball bag," because we didn't have triples back then. He goes, "Would you take a double ball bag, put it over your shoulder, and walk through Central Park?" I said, "Of course not." He goes, "Well, why don't we clean that up, get rid of that first step, and make you a 4-step approach?" Lo and behold, I worked on it diligently for 3 days, and the very next week I made my first top 24 on tour. Was it divine intervention, or was it, luck of the draw? I decided, this is a good thing, I'm going to stay with it.
I think that was a good call, yeah. Stick with that. Divine intervention, and yeah, all right.
4 or 5-step approach for most bowlers is really completely fine. But I was trying to figure out a way, for me personally, to enhance and get things up to another level, and it worked.
All right, well, glad to hear that story. Like I said, I've watched that form and style, and it's just always amazed me because you're very consistent and technically perfect in my opinion.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, anyways, from a bowling ball standpoint, you come to a center, you're getting prepared, so the league bowlers out there, they come to the center, maybe you bring your 3-ball bag now, and one of them's a spare ball, so you got 2 balls. How do you prep? What is your attack? How do you attack the lanes and prep and get ready for that?
Well, I tell anybody, when you're going out there the first time like we are here right now, you should grab your MTR, middle of the road ball, or more importantly, your favorite ball that's in your bag. It's the one that you're most comfortable with. That will give me a good formulation as to how I can see the lane in the very beginning, in the first 4 or 5 shots that I'm throwing. So if we look right here, I'm going to bring this one out first. This is one of the vintage balls, the Teal Rhino Pro that Brunswick just came back out with a couple of months ago. I've used this ball plenty of times in the shows in the early 90s.
Agreed.
But since we came back out with it, this is a really simple symmetric ball, nothing fancy about it, but it's a ball that I can understand the lane in just a few shots, and I'm going to know which way I want to go and win.
All right, perfect. So you'll start with that, and then you, at some point, move into other balls to try to say, okay, I need more, I need less, and you can move into a different ball or a different surface and go from there.
Exactly. So if that ball's not enough, or if I'm looking for something with a little bit more pop on the back end, one of our Quantum series line, the Quantum Evo Response, this is an asymmetrical ball. You can see that there. All right? But the layout, every bowler has their favorite layout, a layout that works really good for you. Guys, I don't get wrapped up in all the numbers when I look at bowling balls, but more importantly, that's why you go to your pro shop guy for their expertise. Please listen to them and their recommendations. They want you to bowl good, because if you bowl good, you're probably going to go back and spend more money in their pro shop.
That's true, and they know your game better than we would, trying to say, oh, you should definitely have this ball. So
exactly. So the Quantum line, really, that was a ball before its time. Once again, this ball came out in the early or mid 90s there, and when it came out, it somewhat revolutionized the sport, but it was really beyond its measures back then. In today's game, it's definitely a form-fitting bowling ball that can go out here and change direction and give you an idea of something more to do with the lane than a regular symmetrical ball can.
All right, well, very good. So maybe we should take a look at how you would start and what we would see, and we'll look at it. And then some kind of transition, and you decide what to go with from there, and we'll get that. also.
We'll try to see if we can do that.
All right, sounds good.
Very good.
All right, Parker, so now you've thrown some shots with that ball.
Yes.
Started to get a feel for that. So if we're in practice, what's your philosophy? What's your next step to be ready?
Well, if I'm in practice, I'm going to throw my other ball too, which I am going to do here in a minute. But if I thought that was the ball of choice, one of the things that I might want to do, it seems to me like the ball needs a little bit more help getting through the pins. So I've got a couple of pads down here that I can take it and literally change the surface of the ball so that it will pick up a little bit sooner, or sometimes you want it to pick up a little bit later, depending what the condition warrants.
So as long as you're still in practice, you're allowed to do that.
Yes.
So we would do that. Or if it was a tournament and you had another one of those balls in the bag at a different surface, you could switch to that one.
At any time.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So that sounds good. Let's continue on and let's see how it goes.
All right.
All right. So we made a surface adjustment.
Exactly.
And now how do you feel?
Well, now the ball definitely picks up and changes direction for me. It may be a little bit too soon for what I'm acquiring or seeing right now, but I've got another ball in my bag that I'm going to go out and see what that one does too.
All right, sounds good. Keep at it. All right, so now you got two balls with two different looks, both looking good for you, huh?
Yeah, that was the asymmetrical ball, the quantum evo response there, and you can see it's got a lot more angular motion on the back end. It may or may not always be the right ball of choice, but at least now I've got two options to look at so that I don't feel like I'm handcuffed at any point while I'm bowling my league or tournament play.
All right, that sounds good. So if it's a league, you know you're going to be on this pair for probably 3 games. If it's a tournament, things are going to change, and now you got 2 different looks that you're happy with.
Exactly. You need to make sure that you're prepared for whatever changes may come up. And when you're in a league, you're in a subtle environment, you're on a pair. But when you start to cross the facility or the center that you're in, you know what? You don't know what's going to go on, and you want to make sure that you have options at any given time. All
right, very good. Well, wise words from Parker Bohn, and great to have you here. Thanks for coming in. Well, much appreciated. Hope the league bowlers out there have learned something, and I hope you continue to support our sport.
Good luck.